Welcome to the Fox Robbins Business Show. Thanks for watching again. We're glad to have you, and I am the co-host, Bill Fox, and the other co-host is none other than the bodacious, dynamic, and electric Coach Robbins.
Bill, how are you? I'm bodacious and dynamic.
That's right, always.
What does bodacious mean? No, I know. Okay.
Anyway, welcome, as I say, welcome back to the Fox Robbins Show. This show is all about developing your best business ideas. This show addresses people interested in small business, whether it's just an idea or whether a business is actually in the act of being started up,
Right.
or it's up and running, but there are problems, or it's up and running and the company wants to make changes. It wants to go forward with new products, new markets, maybe get into export, import, make acquisitions. May God help us, who knows?
Roll up.
But this show, we're going to cover all of that waterfront eventually.
In this one show?
Not in one show.
Oh, we've done 90 so far.
In this show, we're going to talk about must-answer questions for new businesses. It's a new business. These are questions that you must address and have satisfactory answers for.
Shouldn't you ask them before you answer them? Okay.
Well, let's take a shot at the first category, Coach.
Curtain number one.
Let's talk about customers, of course. That's always your favorite, so we'll go with that.
It is so nice to have customers if you're going to be in business, I'll tell you right now.
And if there are customers, aren't you going to wonder who are they?
Yeah, you really should wonder who are they. That's for darn sure, because I've said this a few million times. If you try to be all things to all people, you'll wind up being nothing to all people. So you have to pick and choose. You have to decide just specifically who is your primary customer. You'll see the letters STP. That's not an oil treatment.
That's an oil treatment.
Well, it is, but I'm not talking about it as an oil treatment. That used to stand for Stop Your Ping, but now it stands for segmenting the market, targeting a specific or several specific pieces of that market, and then positioning your company to have a competitive advantage at going after that particular target audience. That's what STP. Who are your best potential customers? That's what you've got to ask yourself, and then you've got to sit down and say something like, well, women married, age 35 to 60, part of a family, 2 kids, something very specific that say, those are the best people for me to sell bed linen to. I mean, if you're trying to sell me bed linen, you're talking to the wrong guy,
Well, if you're talking that way, don't you want to know what motivates those people that you've selected?
Absolutely. Is it price? Is it quality? You want to know as much as you can. The more you know about your primary customer, the more you understand your customer, the better chance you're going to have to position your company and get a lot of business out of them, because that's what you're trying to do. Who are they? What do they want?
And of course, what about where are they?
Well, where are they? Absolutely. If you've got a retail store in Hyannis, well, you know that your customers are probably coming from, within 20 miles away. If you've got a website, they could be anywhere on the planet, most especially in the United States. And of course, we've gone over, do you really need a website, for 10 years now? And of course you do. And you better have it up to date, SEO, mobile friendly, all of those things, but that's another show.
Yeah, we'll have to go back over that again.
That's because it's changed.
Yes, those items are changing.
Yep.
And also, Coach, with regard to customers, CRM. What is CRM?
CRM, Mr. Bill, stands for Customer Relationship Management. And in the last 10 or 15 years, all of the research at the academic level has shown that the most successful companies keep their customers coming back. But if you think about it, it costs you 9, 10, 12 times as much money to get a new customer in the door as it does to keep your old customer coming back. Too many times I see people not understand the lifetime value of a customer. They get hung up over some one specific sale. Make sure your customers continue to do business with you, and more importantly, make sure they're happy, what we call raving customers. I'm good at raving. Raving customers, and they're out there talking to everybody else and say, you should be buying from this company, they're fabulous. Because they become your best salespeople when they are loyal, dedicated customers. So you don't want them falling away. You don't need to lose 20% of your customers every year and replace them with 20% more and go nowhere, and it's expensive to replace them. Keep them happy. Keep them delighted, as a matter of fact.
Well, keeping them happy, I just recently was having some issues with my TV,
Yeah.
and the remote didn't seem to be working properly. I couldn't figure out why. Ultimately, did the phone call for customer service.
Right.
I tell you that person was talking to me first and foremost about why I had made a mistake or what was wrong with me.
Yeah.
In a tone of voice, an attitude, selection of questions. I was feeling on the defensive, and plus, of course, a rising anger. Why was maybe I'm making a mistake. If I am, please tell me. But don't treat me like a criminal.
Child, right. Well, there's a word for that. Stupid. That's what it is. And not you, the guy on the other end of the phone who's you're his customer. Not only is he stupid, but whoever manages him is even dumber for allowing this to go on. They should be monitoring that. Every once in a while you hear, we're monitoring some of the calls. Good. Right. Monitor away.
Well, so talk about CRM, I'd been a customer for a long time.
Right.
I, paid my bills.
On time.
I rarely complain. I mean, if this complaint that I made, not a complaint, but I said I was having an issue with this.
Just a query, right.
Am I someone who calls weekly, monthly,
right,
every 3 months or something? No answer. No.
Right.
I call only when I really have an issue.
Yeah, an issue.
And why don't they know that, Coach? I mean,
they should have it right in front of them on a screen.
In the power of computers today, there are CRM programs that you can have.
Oh, Salesforce.com. There's so many.
Allow you to enter, information. So when you talk to me on the phone, you're looking at this.
I just say, Fox, William, boom, I know everything about you right in front of me.
Long time,
Mr. Fox, how are you?
Pay the bills, don't complain.
Yep.
They should know that, shouldn't they?
They should. But again, it goes back to what I just said.
Yeah.
They're stupid.
Can we go on? I want to ask you about employees.
Do I sugarcoat things too much? Is that I've been. Nobody's ever told me I do, actually.
You're audacious, but sometimes a little bit too mild. Well, I want to move on. I want to ask you about employees. This is a more must-answer questions. First of all, will you have any?
A lot of people will come to me and say, I want to start a business, but I really don't want to have employees. And I say, well, congratulations. There's you. There's time, and you've got a couple thousand hours a year that you can put in, and how many of those can you actually bill your customers for? The only way you really are going to make a lot of revenue is by having employees, managing them, motivating them, and having them work for the company and make money for the company, every one of them. I had over 100 employees in one of my companies, and I expected every one of them to make money for the company, which was me, by the way. Okay? But yeah, of course. I mean, you should consider how I'm going to hire, manage, train, control all of the employees, and those employees are going to be an asset to this company. I've always said, people say to me, what was your biggest asset? My people. My employees were my biggest, not my inventory, not even my customers, and you know how much I love my customers, right?
Right.
My employees were my biggest asset because they got me customers.
Well, don't you have to ask where you're going to find these if you need a place?
You better figure out how you're going to find. We just talked about STP and targeting a specific group of customers. Well, how are you going to get your message, your promotional message to those people that says, come buy these products from me, and here's why, here's the value I offer you, here's how I differentiate myself, my little company. If you can say, how many times have you heard me say that? We're the only, wow. If I can say, you're the only, oh, then I got to come see you, you know? That's differentiation at its highest level.
And those, as we were saying also with the employees, don't you have to figure out where you're going to find those employees?
Absolutely, you have to figure out where. And my preference was always, you know, I mean, you can put ads in the paper, and of course that's going by the wayside. You can do ads on websites online. You can put it on your own website if people are coming to it. I always wanted to hire people that came in that one of my employees already knew. AT&T had the most successful hiring program on the planet back in the 20th century, especially when they were a monopoly, because if they were looking for more employees, they asked their good employees, do you have a sister, a brother, a cousin? I mean, you know, I'm not going to recommend my brother, I don't have one. I'm not going to recommend my brother for a job if he's not great and it's going to jeopardize my job. But if he is, I said, gee, my brother's a great guy. You got a good chance on hiring another great employee. You know, I also used to like to steal good employees from competitors. That kind of hurt them too.
And once you have employees, what about managing and controlling?
One of the biggest reasons people fail in business, they don't know how to manage people, human beings. They just don't understand. They're either abdicated managers, meaning they just let the employees go, and that's a big mistake. Or, you know, they're just what we call serial bosses, meaning they're all over their employees, pushing too hard, and people aren't going to stay. You have to learn how to manage people based on where they are. Some people need to be told what to do at certain times. Other people just need to be inspired and just hands off and let them do their job because they're great employees. You have to adjust how you manage and control employees, and you better know how to do it. And too many people go into business, they haven't got a clue how to deal with employees.
And as you're thinking about this, you'd have to know, what those employees are going to do. I mean, you have to answer that question.
You've got to develop it. Here's what this employee, here is the job sheet for what this employee responsibilities are. Absolutely.
And what about those employees? You'll need benefits. I mean, you're going to.
Yeah,
you're going to pay those for their time. But what about benefits?
Absolutely, you have to make a decision as to, well, first of all, there are laws now, particularly in the state of Massachusetts, that, a certain amount of sick time based on the size of your company. There are laws about health care that's mandatory based on the size of your company, and they're changing those laws all the time, so I can't even, in this show or the next 5 shows, tell you exactly, but there are certain rules and regulations that small businesses have to abide by as far as who gets health care, who gets paid time off, depending, again, upon the size of the company. But you know what? If you've got a company and you are going to be giving good benefit to package to people, that's important. People need health care. People do need vacation time to be good. People do need sick time to take care of themselves, to take care of their family. You've got to decide exactly what benefit level you can afford, and that retains the better employees.
And compete with other employees.
You got to compete with other companies who want your good employees. I had to all the time. Right. Absolutely.
I want to move on to the mother's milk of business, which is money, M-O-N-E-Y. Coach, talk to us about money. What don't you have to know? You have to know how much you need?
Well, no matter what you figure out that you're going to need, you're probably going to underestimate it. That's usually the case. But yeah, you have to sit down and you have to say, well, first of all, what do I need money for? If I'm starting a business, for instance, or if I'm buying a business, I know I need money to buy the business. If I'm buying a franchise, I have to pay the franchise fees. I need money to open my business, maybe build out the leasehold, or you got to sit down and say, what do I need? And then put a price on it. And then you got to put in a little bit of extra to make sure you've got some cash in the bank to get your business started. But critically important, how much money am I going to need to get this business off the ground? And by off the ground, I don't mean on the runway. Using an airplane analogy, I mean to get this thing to the runway and then get it flying. And you got to sit down and say, well, how much money am I going to need?
And you're going to have to say, you have to answer how much do you have?
How much do you have and how much do you want to risk of what you have. And of course, if you sit down and say, well, I need about $200,000 to really get this business off the ground, not just started, off the ground. And you know what? I've got 50,000, and looks like I'm going to have to go for a loan of about 150,000. So that would mean that you've got about 25%. You're going to look for a lender who will loan you the other 75%. Where am I going to get the money that I do need to get it off the ground? Or do I have the whole 200,000? I'm just going to fund it myself. Those are decisions you have to make for yourself.
But if that money then is spent,
Yep.
don't you have to ask yourself, how much do you need to earn as a result of when you spend that money, create commercial activity? You need to say, well, but how much is that business activity going to earn?
Absolutely, especially if you're going to do it full time. If you're going to leave a job and you're making $60,000 a year, and you have a lifestyle that, my keep the wolves away number, I call it, is 35,000. Are you going to be able to get the 35,000 out of this business? I assume that when people start a business, they still live someplace, they still eat. They still, there's money that's needed. They still drive a car, got to pay their insurance, got to pay their mortgage, their taxes, or their rent, or their car bill, or gas, or, and some spending money. One of the things you really have to sit down and look at when you're starting and going to jump into a brand new, that's why so many people start a business part-time. They keep their job until they're sure this business can support their lifestyle and have a future beyond that. Because you're taking a risk.
Well, and if we are starting a business, indeed, you're not necessarily going to make money from the beginning. But how long would it be until you make a profit? You need to know that.
You better know that, because I've had far too many people come to see me in trouble and say, I've been in business for 5 years, 6 years, and I started the business 5 years ago. And 4 years ago, I cashed in my IRA and put $100,000 into the business. And then 2 years ago, I got a couple of credit cards, but they're maxed out now. I need some money. And I tell them, you don't need money. You need a business model that, allows you a profit. I said, this is insane. What you're doing, you're feeding a monster that's dragging you under. You have to understand, which is part of how much money do you need to start the business? You might look at it and say, I need stuff, and there's $100,000. I need counters and shelves and inventory or whatever. Yeah. I need some people. I need rent. Well, maybe you want 3 months of operating cash in the bank too, because maybe it's going to take 3 months before you even start to turn the corner, or 6 months and start to actually make a profit, okay? And we're going to talk about the most important thing next, aren't we?
Well, it's one of your very favorite topics of all. It's
for small business.
CFITMITYM. What is that, Coach?
It's CFITIF. No, I can't even pronounce it. It's CFI MITYM, right? That's what it is. Actually, an extra T in CFI MITYM. That's what it really should be. It stands for cash flow is more important than your mother, okay? Sorry, folks, sorry, Mom, but it's a fact. What keeps small businesses in business is cash flow, positive cash flow. Money coming in faster than it goes out. More money coming in faster than it goes out. I teach financial seminars every month, 1 or 2 every month for several organizations. And one of the things I stress for small business is that cash management is even more important than profit. They're not the same thing. Profit is not cash flow. Cash flow is not profit. Cash flow is what keeps small businesses going, because they don't have what's known as slack resources like a big business where they say, oh, we're a little low on cash. Well, then no problem. We'll call headquarters, have them put $10 million in the bank. Can't do that in small business. Or, you know what, we'll just sell another 10,000 shares of stock on the market and we'll raise some cash. Can't do that. Cash keeps you in business. Cash is king for a business. If you don't watch your cash flow, you're going out of business, even if you're making a profit.
Let's turn our attention to competition.
There is some out there.
You have to answer questions about the competition, of course, starting with who.
All right. If you say to me, I'm not going to have any competition, I say to you, there's probably not a need for what you're doing, okay? Because somebody's got to be out there filling it, more than likely. You want to know who your direct, most critical, important competitors are, and you should do this research even before you go into a business. Who are they?
Where are they?
Where are they located? Who are they? Understand their pricing structures,
Right.
okay, what they're selling.
Right.
Understand also, which isn't on the slide, how are they treating their customers? It goes back to CRM thing. You
Yeah.
know, how are their customers really happy with them, or are their customers feeling, well, we're not getting the type of service from this company, and maybe that's a way, which plays into the next thing, that you can go in and compete with these people without trying to beat them on price, because the only person who wins that you're trying to beat them on price is the customer.
war of
But you're
attrition.
trying to differentiate yourself. You're trying to become the only, whatever that means. You know, we're the only one that give this type of service. Oh, we're the only ones that handle this specific line. How do you differentiate yourself? And that's how you're going to be successful in your small business.
And USP, what is that? What did you mean about with USP?
That's another very important acronym. It means what is your unique selling proposition? What makes your company different? What are you doing to show the market that you're giving them a value for the dollars they're giving you that nobody else is doing? Your unique selling proposition, right?
Right.
That's what your customers are looking for. They're looking to come to you, hopefully, for what you can do, because you're the only one that does this. Hopefully, that would be really nice. Or you are positioning your company very uniquely to give these things for your customers.
And can you say that the customers out there really care about you? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
You're selling yourself your own proposition. I say, well, my selling proposition is X. But
Yep.
maybe you're kidding yourself. You're selling yourself.
Right.
Do the customers care?
It's them that have to care about your unique selling proposition. You might have something that's unique and not important to them. Well, they're not going to buy something if it's not important. If they don't want it, need it, desire it, they don't care about it. It might be something unique, but they're not going to pay you for it because they don't want it. So what is your unique selling proposition that your customers really want to get from somebody? That's what and this is why you're talking to customers and potential customers all the time.
And in doing this analysis, one of your favorite approaches is the old SWOT idea, SWOT. What is that?
SWOT analysis, SWOT. Internal to your company, you have strengths, you have weaknesses. External to your company, there are opportunities and there are threats within the marketplace, right?
Right.
So what you look at is your own company first. We have these strengths and we want to, make the best of those strengths. We want to understand we do have some weaknesses and we want to mitigate those weaknesses in the marketplace.
Recognize them.
Recognize and mitigate. Then you want to look at your competitors, especially your top 2 or 3 main competitors, and say, what are their strengths? And what are their weaknesses? And how can I pit my strength against their weakness and be successful in this thing? And then external to any individual business is the marketplace, and that's the O in the T of SWOT. Where do I see an opportunity for me to position myself within this market? And what are the threats from this market that I have to be aware of and know how I'm going to mitigate if those come at me?
And today, that in the recent environment out there is changing technology.
Huge, yeah,
And,
instantly, every time you blink an eye.
Yeah. Let me turn your attention to location. We have to answer questions, must answer questions about location, such as where are you going to operate from? Home, rent, buy, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And generally speaking, if you're starting a business, unless you have a lot of money, I don't recommend necessarily initially to go out and buy a building, unless you're getting a great deal, of course. People will operate their business out of their home part-time to see if they're going to jump into it. and then maybe go rent space as they start to expand. And then when they see they're being very successful and they want to secure, if their location is really important, in a retail business, of course, location is critically important. Are you in a good location? Do you have visibility? Have you got good signage? Are people driving by and can see where your business is? Accessibility and visibility is critical for some businesses. Some it's not, but a lot of them are.
And the territory that you're in, sort of.
What territory are you covering in general, you know?
Right.
Of course, the internet expands that, but if you're in the retail business and you're in downtown Hyannis, then, you know, nobody's going to drive from California to buy from you. You might buy online, but certainly not your retail spot.
And now I'm going to turn, last but not least.
Not least is right.
Absolutely not least is, I'm going to ask you about sales. As a result of all this foregoing activity that we've done, you know, in answering questions, we come to the sales issue, such as how do you sell?
People will come to me and say, I'm really good at this particular technical skill, but I really am not a good salesperson and I don't really want to sell. And I say, keep your day job. Because when you get started, it's you that's doing the selling. And by the way, you're going to be selling for the rest of your life. You've been selling all your life anyway, you know, but now it's really important to get out and tell your story to the potential customers and the existing customers, and that's how you grow. Who sells? Well, to start with, you do. And then you have to decide who else, as I start to hire people, are going to be involved. Sales makes the cash register ring. Marketing gets the people interested, it gets their attention, gets them interested. Sales closes the deals.
And the sales experience is the CRM that keeps people.
Absolutely, and the
coming back.
customer relationship and the salespeople in touch with the customers and knowing what the customers want and getting the customers what they want. Yeah, absolutely.
And that includes the staff and the training and the
Compensation.
compensation,
Yeah, those,
for
those three are
persons.
all go hand in hand. You should understand what training my sales staff is going to continuously need and how I'm going to motivate them through compensation, salary, commission, bonus, that type of thing. It's all important to the growth and profitability of your business. You have to manage those salespeople correctly.
Well, you know, Coach, we're calling upon a lot of questions, a lot of answers that someone has to come up with, but they're all vital to the
Absolutely.
success.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you again for watching Fox Robbins, and feel free to send us any comments or questions at foxrobbins@gmail.com on the internet, and keep the questions and comments polite, of course. And make sure and join us the next time. And again, thank you for watching Fox Robbins.
Thank you.